There's a song that most of us have heard and sung probably throughout our childhoods, and probably, I don't know if they'll still teach it today to the children in school or not, but it was, "Oh, give me a home where the buffalo roam, and the deer and the antelope play," right? Seldom is heard a discouraging word. Seldom is heard. Boy, things changed, haven't they? Go give me a home. When you think about home and where home is and what home ought to be, and a place where you can just simply say, "I don't need to hear any more junk. I get all that at work. I get all that when I go low. I get all." When you get home, the worst thing you can get when you get home is what? A discouraging word. I hate to tell you, but when you think on what we're hearing today in our society, everything is negativity. It's based on negativity. If it's not negative, then it's not going to make the news. If it's good news, and you hear very little of it. You hear very little of it. You don't hear the good news. You don't hear the good side of it. You hear the negative. And today I want you to turn with me in the book of Acts. In the book of Acts, Paul is on his first missionary journey. And he's going from place to place, and he's finally coming to another place of Antioch. It's not the other, it's a different Antioch. And he's coming to a place where he is beginning to share with them. And as he always does, he goes into the cities, and he goes into the synagogue. Now, the synagogue is a place where the Jews would gather together. And as they did, they would gather because this was almost like not only the worship place or a time of worship, but it was also a place where they would gather like just like a community center almost. That's really what it came. If you needed something, you went down there. If you want to talk about something, you went down there. And I don't know about you, but there's places down in Florida, and I don't know if you ever see the shuttleboards down there. There's a lot of people sitting down playing shuttleboard, and when they play that, they're out there playing, and you'll see all these old folks out there playing, right? You see all these old folks out there playing, and that's the gathering spot. In Texas, they have 42 rooms. Now, it's not 42 rooms, they have 42. It's to play with dominoes. They have dominoes set up, and they gather together, they play dominoes. Around in Maxie's, they have a bridge tournaments. They have big bridge parties, and that's not building bridges, of course, that's playing cards. And so you have all these places that people gather together. But the synagogue was a place when Paul wanted to talk to those, he would go to the synagogue and he would begin to share with them about what Christ has done. This morning's message comes out of a sermon, as it were, because Paul is now going in, and as he does, if then the elder comes into him and says, "Men, do you have something you can tell us? Do you have a word for us?" Now, don't you think about this for a moment. Do you have a word? Do you have a word? Someone says, "Well, what's the word for the day?" Well, let's see. You go through all the notes that you've made in your mind about all the news, and you find out, well, there's not much news today. That's not what they're asking you. They're not asking you for what the news is. They're asking you for a word. What word can they hang on to today? What word would help them in a time of need? What word would they need as they go through the day? An encouraging word. Who's got an encouraging word? Where don't you go to find one? I mean, people are looking today, they're just looking for a word of encouragement. They're discouraged. They don't know what to do. And they find themselves beaten down. And so when Paul was talking in Acts here, as Luke begins to tell about Paul, he reads these words, writes these words. If you'll stand with me, and we're going to look at Acts chapter 13. Begin at verse 13. Let's just begin at verse 15. He says, "And after reading the law and the prophets, and the synagogue officials sent them saying, 'Brethren, if you have a what? A word of exhortation for the people, say it.' And Paul stood up and motioned with his hand, said, 'Men of Israel, and you who fear God, listen. The God of this people chose our fathers and made the people great during their stay in the land of Egypt. And with an uplifted arm, he led them out from it, and for a period of about 40 years, he put up with them in the wilderness. Don't you like the way he put that? He put up with them. You know, he just had to stay with them. He put up with them. And when he had destroyed several nations in the land of Canaan, he distributed their land as an inheritance of all, which took about 450 years. And after these things, he gave them judges until Samuel the prophet. And then they asked for a king, and God gave them Saul, son of Kish, a man of the tribe of Benjamin, for 40 years. And after he had removed him, he raised up David to be their king, concerning whom he testified and said, I have found David, the son of Jesse, a man after my heart, who will do all my will. From the offspring to this man, according to the promise, God has brought to Israel a Savior, Jesus. After John had proclaimed before his becoming of baptism the repentance of all the people of Israel, and while John was completing his course, he kept saying, what do you suppose that I am? I am not he, but behold, the one who's coming after me, the sandals of whose feet I am not worthy to untie. Brothers, sons of Abraham's family, and these things, and those among you who fear God, to us the word of this salvation is sent out. For those who live in Jerusalem and their rulers recognize neither him nor the utterance of the prophets which are read every Sabbath, fulfilled these by condemning him. And though they found no ground for putting him to death, they asked Pilate that he be executed. And when they had carried out all that was written concerning the cross, and laid him in a tomb, but God raised him from the dead. And for many days he appeared to those who came up with him from Galilee to Jerusalem, the very ones who are now his witnesses to the people. Verse 32, we preach to you the good news of the promise made to the fathers. So God in prayer. Father, may we hear the good news. May we capture the good news. May we tell it, Father, with gladness. But Father, the world needs to hear it. Today, Father, I pray and thank you for each one who's put their faith and their trust in you. And I pray, Father, for those that are seeking, and those, Father, that are learning what it means to live for you. Strengthen us today. Speak to our hearts. We ask in Christ's name. Amen. You may be seated. Paul gave you the rendition of all the history. He gave you the history of what took place, and he was telling them very shortly all that time. And when you think about what he was telling them the good news. Chuck Swindoll, in Growing Deep in the Christian Life, in the book he wrote, was talking about a man that decided one day he wanted to go around the world voyage in a little boat that he had made. He said, you know, when he got there, everybody was pessimistic. He heard the words, the sun will broil you. You won't have enough food. The boat that you're in will withstand the storm. You'll never make it. All those words, can't you imagine you're going to go sail around the world and these are the words that you're hearing in the background. All he probably wanted was just an encouraging word. May God be with you. But no, all he got was all the things that go wrong. And the sharks are going to get you. You can imagine. But there was one man sitting there. And after hearing all those words, he howled out, Bon voyage, you're really something. We're with you. We're proud of you. Good luck, brother. What does it take to be the one who would stand up and say that I have an encouraging word? Out of all the things that are going wrong, out of all the things, what can we do? I hate to tell you, there was a study on school teachers. And it found out that 75% were more negative and critical than they were positive. Now that's not beating them down. You know, you get so tired of hearing the same thing, you just start saying, look, either you get it or you don't. You can say, well, that's the school teacher's fault. That's the parents' fault too, because of the same thing. You know, when we teach someone, we want them to get it and move on. We don't want to spend time with them. You say, I'm not like that. How are you? Where were you when your kids sat down in the afternoon and it was time to do that homework? You can blame it on the teachers all you want to. It wasn't just the teachers. It's the parents too. We're all teachers. Whether we want to admit it or not, we're all teachers. Every one of us. And we don't get it right the first time, we get frustrated with them. But I'm going to tell you something. It takes 4 positive comments send your kids to school and you find out your grandchildren, they've had a bad day, do you realize that they don't need to hear from you anything but positive? They need to hear something good. They need to be built up in something. The encouraging word is the word that comes and it says to us that we're going to embolden them. We're going to give them hope. We're going to give them support. We're right there with them. Can you imagine what it would mean to say simply that you were going to do something great? It was in 1965, June the 1st, when a 13.5-foot boat slipped out quietly out of the marina in Fairmont, in Falmouth, Massachusetts, heading toward England. Robert Manry was the pilot of that little boat, and he named that little boat Tinkerbell. And as he set out thinking about this, he decided that he would not tell anyone. His wife, his family, and very closest of friends was all he would tell. He said, you know, I wasn't afraid of the ocean. I was afraid of all those people who would try to talk me out of it. I was afraid to hear all those people tell me what would go wrong. I was afraid of the sorriness that they would come up with, because many would say, you know, that it was going to be a bad voyage. So he didn't tell anyone. He slipped out, as it were, just anonymous that day. The trip was anything but pleasant. Sleepless nights. His food began to get old and became tasteless. He was loneliness, had so much loneliness in him that he didn't have hallucinations. His rudder broke 3 times. He was thrown overboard by many times because the waves would wash him over. The only thing that saved him was a rope he had tied around his waist so he could climb back on board. You think about that. Here he is. He's coming in, and after 78 days at sea, 78 days in a 13.5-foot boat. Now, if you don't know what a 13.5-foot boat is, that's not very big. He figured that when he got to the other side, he would get out of his boat, he would go to the local diner and get something to eat. He would then go from there and he would go to the AP, the Associated Press, knock on their door and say, hey, I want to introduce myself to you. I've got maybe a story you might want to hear. I just crossed that ocean out there in a 13.5-foot boat. You think you might know that? You might know that story. But as he rounded the corner and he saw the shore, all of a sudden he seen 400 boats, horns a blaring. He seen 40,000 people on the shore, hollering for him, rooting for him. But his greatest supporter, greatest encourager was his wife, sitting there waiting on him to land his boat. I don't know where we're at today when we think about the life that God has given to us and what He wants us to do. But we ought to be encouraging people to seek out and do those things that God has laid upon your heart. We should not be the discouragers that sitting there saying, you know how bad it's going to be, you know what it's going to take, you know all that. Well, we just came out of a storm. We just came out of a storm. Some of you had known nothing, but this past week, it was a storm. If it could go wrong, it went wrong. And we were facing everything, all the women coming in, getting everything together, but it was a storm. I was weary. I feel it this morning. I'm weary, but I'm not weary of well-doing. I'm just tired physically. But the realization is that when you do something, there ought to be those that come and say, we need to say something. We need to be about God. And when we do, we need to realize that encouragement must be spoken. Folks, you can't encourage somebody that's saying, okay, you need to speak it. You need to put those words before them. They need to hear your voice. They need to hear your tone. They need to hear everything about it. But so many times we have simply not spoken. But there was a pianist, and he decided that one day his horses had got to him and offered anything you tell me. Just tell me what it is. And the doctor says simply, you talk too much. But have you ever thought about our words that we speak? We talk too much. But what do we say? What do we say? What do we really communicate? James 3:2 says, we all stumble in many ways. If anyone does not stumble in what he says, he's a perfect man, able to bridle the whole body as well. Look at it again. For we all stumble in many ways, but if he does not stumble in what he says, he's a perfect man, and he's able to bridle the whole body. So you see, our words are important. And how we go about saying them. And so we have to be careful. We know also in Proverbs 10:19, when there are many words, transgression is unavoidable. Listen to that. When there are many words, transgressions are unavoidable. But who restrains his lips is wise. There's a part that we need to carefully say what we're going to say. We need to be careful of what we're thinking. President Cabbage Coolidge was talked about, man, he didn't say a whole lot. But a friend of a friend said, you know what, I bet I need to say something to me. So she went up to him, she said, you know, my friend said you would speak to me. I said, I bet I could get 3 words out of you. And Calvin Coolidge told us that he looked at her and said, you lose. Didn't get 3 words, got only 2, you lose. Mark your words. Your words have meaning. Your words have value. Your words have it. But if we're not careful, our words lose value. The little boy cried wolf over and over and over again. When the wolf finally showed up, guess who went to check on him? No one. Why? But his words have lost all meaning. Your words are important. People really want to know what you think. They really care. And Lander says the trouble with talking too fast is you say something you haven't thought of yet. We just simply run on and on and on. When I think about what God has given to us, we speak in ways that we need to hear. Verse 15, after the reading of the law. Now, I want you to think about it. It's after the reading of the law. What's the law? First 5 books of the Bible have to have a reading out of that. And the prophets. The synagogue officials sent to them saying, brethren, if you have any word of exhortation for the people, say it. That word exhortation is one that says simply, do you have a word of encouragement? Why would they need a word of encouragement? They're sitting up there on this plateau of a place, and it's got a lake up there, and it's a big plateau, and it's a nice place that everybody goes to here. Paul knows where to go start his churches. He knows it's got to be in an area where many people come. It had the Greek influence, it had Pamphylia influence, it had all these different cultures in there. It was a perfect place to start a church. Why would they need encouragement? Because these Jews were the diaspora. They're the ones that had left Jerusalem. They had gone out and tried to flee from those that had persecuted them. This is a group of people that God had worked in their hearts, but yet He had moved them out. And so they were needing encouragement. Here we are up here on this mountain, but tell us a word that we need to hear. And so when you think about what He's going to say to them, we read in Ephesians 4:29, let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth, but only such a word is good for edification according to the need of the moment, so it may give grace to those who hear. Paul had a word for that particular moment, and when he had that word, it was a word that says simply, I have a word, and it's for this moment, it's for time, it's for you, and it's right now. God has given me this. Let me tell you about my Jesus. And he went through the fact of what God had done and how He had walked with the Jews, which they already knew. Think about it. They already knew the Old Testament. And what He was doing was saying, but let me tell you the fullness of that. How God had not given up, though He put up with them in the wilderness. I put up with them in the wilderness. I love that are you putting up with today? Because God kept speaking life to them. God kept speaking to them over and over, even though he was having to put up with them. He says, but I have an answer, I have the word. And so he says, even in Colossians 4:6, let your speech always be with grace, as though seasoned with salt, so that you will know how you should respond to each person. You know, you can season things, and you can over-season things, can't you? I found out that, you can over-season grits. Have you ever eaten salty grits? Have you ever tried to take the salt out of it? You can't get it out, can you? You have to just blow them away. So I've learned if I'm going to cook any grits around the house, and the devil does, we just throw a little bit in there. We always add it later. You don't want to add too much to begin with. You're going to whole pot of grits. But he says those seasoned with salt. And when he was talking about that, is palatable, that tastes good, that they can receive. Not that you take a ball bat and you beat it in someone. It's that they hear it and they want to hear more. It's as if they hear it and they desire more. That was so good, I think I'm going to have another second half of that. You ever heard that before? Have you ever said that before? I need more, I want more. I can tell you, I can eat on one plate and push it aside, but you put the fresh vegetable on the plate, give me some fried okra, some cream corn. About lunchtime, isn't it? You start putting those fresh field peas on there, get you a good old slice of onion, and get you some fresh tomatoes. My problem is my peas and the corn will never run out together at the same time. First thing I know, I'm back over the stove, get just a little bit more of this, and oh, by the way, I need a little more of that. And I go back and I'm going, I got another whole plate here, didn't I? All I wanted was to finish that out, but there's so much goodness there, I couldn't help myself. And that ought to be God's way with us. That ought to be his word to us, that we get a little bit, but we want so much more, because it's so good. It's just so good. And so Paul is talking to a group of people that have been in this place, and he's speaking words to them. And let me tell you something. Encouragement deals with good news. People, you can't discourage them with an evil word. You can't encourage them if you have words that are going to be downtrodden and beaten down. And that's not encouraging words. Watch your temper. Watch the tempo of your wording. Listen to it very carefully. Standing up, Paul mentioned with motion with his hand, men of Israel, you and Gentiles who worship God, listen to me. After removing Saul, he made David their king, testifying concerning him, I have found David, the son of Jesse. He didn't go into all the cruel issues. He didn't dip into all the negativity. Well, David, he go down all the Bathsheba. By the way, have you ever heard somebody tell those stories? Oh, by the way, by the time they get throughout the by the way, you forgot what the message was about. He didn't do that. He hit the high point. He went from the wilderness. He went to the prophets. He ended with Samuel. He went into Saul. He went to David. And he went to John the Baptist. He went to Jesus, the one that they crucified, the one that was raised again. He didn't stop to tell you all the byproducts of everything. He said, this is the news that you need to hear. And it was good news. It was the news of Jesus Christ. I just went through all that. We don't need to go through that. Except that right there. He found David, the son of Jesse. A man after his heart, who will do all right. See, there's a part in us we need to encourage each other. It's difficult. It's difficult. There's a man in November 20th of 07. He had been playing the lottery, and he finally won the lottery. When he got the money, he decided to hide it from his wife, and so he ran out through him everyone who believes is freed from all things from which you could not be freed through the law of Moses. Paul was able to say unto others, and he says unto us, he says simply unto us, you're free. What the law could not do, I bring unto you Jesus Christ, the one who can set you free. And because you're free indeed. I want you to know that when we hear the good news that things are going well, that we ought to share it. But what are we sharing? What are we sharing? One man said his wife was so intrigued by the Chinese calligraphy that she found something, she said, I like that. Man, so she had it embroidered on this beautiful dress. And she went everywhere. She thought this was the coolest dress. And so finally she runs across a friend of a friend, and he said, could you read this for me? And he kind of swallowed kind of hard, says, well, yes, I can. But I might know the story behind the dress because I was just wondering why you wear that dress. And, oh, I just love the lettering on it. I love the what. He said, do you know what it says? I said, no, tell me, what does it say? Cheap but good. Cheap but good. Message many times we have come through. And we need to go back and realize that God tells us that there's not a greater message that we can ever give. I messed up in there somewhere. We'll find it. Number 3 is encouragement ultimately leads to good people. They lead people to God. I told you things were messed up a little bit around here this week. That's another one. Just put it on the list. I don't care. God's word is greater than all this computer stuff. Let me tell you, Acts 13. Find Acts 13, Acts 13, 42 through 44 again. You see it there, Shelley? There you go. And when the Jews were gone out from the synagogue, the Gentiles besought that these words might be preached to them the next Sabbath. Now, when the congregation was broken up, many of the Jews and religious proselytes followed Paul and Barnabas, who, speaking to them, persuaded them to continue in the grace of God. Get one more time. And when the next Sabbath day came, almost the whole city came together to hear the word of God. Can you imagine that the word was spoken? It was so good that they said, I got to tell you something. And they spoke the good news to their neighbors, and the neighbors over to them, and they said, hey, you want to go back? We're going to be there. We'll be there. We'll be there. The whole city. The whole city. And when I think about what God is doing in that, I realize that God is doing great and mighty things. And as he does those, get the next one down. Just go to the next one. You don't have to do that. Get the next one. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. There you go. And when the Gentiles heard this, they began rejoicing and glorifying the word of the Lord, as many as have been appointed to eternal life believe. Folks, I don't know what good news you're telling people. I don't know what's coming out of your mouth. But if it's not encouraging word about Jesus Christ, it's for naught. You can talk about the weather all day long. You can talk about the games all you want to. You can talk about, but ask the question, what is coming forth? Are my words seasoned as they ought to be? So seasoned that people hear and they want to hear more? Are they the life that people are looking for? Are they looking for the good things? Let me close. There was an old preacher. He preached the gospel for many years. And he had preached his heart out and preached his heart out. And on the podium one day, there was an actor and a preacher. And one of the congregation says, We want to hear the 23rd Psalm. And the actor said, I know that one. So he got up and he recited the 23rd Psalm. And when the actor finished, man, they applauded. They just applauded. And so he turned around to the old preacher and he says, do you know the 23rd Psalm? Of course, he shook his head. Well, you come give your rendition. So feebly came up to the mic, and as he began to speak the words, when he came to the place where, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever, there was no pause. But there were tears. There were tears in eyes. And the actor came up then and stood behind the preacher, stood aside and said, we both know the 23rd Psalm. He knows the shepherd. He knows the shepherd. It's not enough to tell the story until we know the shepherd. Once you know the shepherd, you'll season your words, and your words will count. Let me ask you a question. Are you encouraged? Many of us have to hold our heads down and say, man, not like I need to do. But that's when I say, praise God. Get to know the shepherd. He changes it all. Let's go to God. Father, how do we come before you? How can we seek your face? Father, we're sinners. We're like those in the wilderness, and Father, you have put up with us. So, Father, I pray today that we want more than just being put up with. We don't want you to have to be around us. We want you to want to be around us. Father, that we want to be in your presence, not because we have to be in your presence. Father, as you abided in the Father abided in you, so shall we abide in the Son. Father, speak to us this morning. Give us those words. Father, even when there's things that are on our brain and on our mind, and Father, things that we could say, maybe there ought to be those times when we just were silent with you. But Father, it will take 4 good words to heal the brokenness of one bad word. Today, Father, we thank you for your saving grace. We thank you now, Father, for this time of invitation. We thank you, Father, for your good word that says, whoever believes in me shall have life eternal. Thank you today, Father, for your encouragement. Father, may these words encourage someone else. That our words, Father, might truly be words worth hearing. Thank you today, Father. Speak to our hearts.